Alright, so middle of like the progression in terms of like the Spiritborn, I mean, this build absolutely shreds. Now, keep in mind, this is supposed to be in the middle of progression, basically once you have actually finished off the campaign, and then you're slowly starting to get your glyphs leveled up. I literally only have one glyph in my build right now, and I'll show you guys that in just a second. But basically, I want to show you guys kind of like a middle of the stage progress, because we uploaded like a leveling build, and then also showed you guys like the end game with 100% overpower, but I'm not at that stage yet. So let's go ahead and show off a full run. I'll explain the skills and I'll go over the gear and stuff, and we'll kind of make this like a quick little build guide over here for progression. So for starters, one thing that you do want for this build for the middle of the progression is to get this item in particular, the Rod of Kipilike. You don't need any mythics for this build. I'm literally just using it for the extra movement speed. There's actually a better helmet that gives you more damage. That's actually easier to acquire. Again, I'm just using it for movement speed. But this is the item that you need. Let's go ahead and show off some gameplay. This is only on Torment 2. It would be the equivalent of the difficulty. Remember, I literally only have one glyph in right now. I have literally one, okay? The rest is just the legendary nodes. I have one glyph, okay? So this is definitely in like the middle stage of your progression here, because it's T2, it's in the middle of the difficulty. Keep in mind, also, I have 0 greater affixes, so we have a long ways to go for the build. But I'm going to show you guys a full run. We'll explain the skills as we kind of play. So our main source of damage is going to be Quill Volley, and we're going to be constantly teleporting with our abilities. So first off, we're just going to go ahead and activate all of our stuff, just so I can go ahead and get some of these buffs up. But really quick, what allows us to teleport is going to be the third skill. So how it works, our first skill is mobility. Let's just go through walls as well. Big quality of life for that skill. And then our second skill is our ultimate, which just gives us a bunch of boosts. It also can let us go through walls. Right now I'm just trying to speed level up glyphs and progress. I could probably go up in difficulty as well at this point, but I want to go ahead and show you guys gameplay first. And then the third skill is going to let us actually teleport towards the enemies. And if you're wondering how we have such fast cooldowns, there's 2 ways to achieve it. You can either run the key passive or get Janthus Shell. So I'll show you guys what that item is in a second. Or you can get the key passive that will also give you it. And then for our fourth skill, which is the Quill, that will actually allow us to deal our damage. That is our main source of damage. That shoots it out and it comes back. And the aspect is actually easily acquired too in your progression. But you're seeing we're just able to consistently teleport. Really fast build. We're just going to go finish off this run. But to explain the last 2 skills, so once you get to the point where you have Rod of Kipilike, you have infinite resource. This is also like a frequently asked question for the build. How do we have infinite resource? It's just the Rod of Kipilike. That's it. It makes it so it makes your core skill a basic skill. And I'll show you guys what items we have and what items we would want to go ahead and acquire. But yeah, the build is very, very fast. As you can see, it just dominates content. I'm still like leveling. And this has been just a super blaster, like in terms of a build. Super tanky as well. If you watch the HP, it really hasn't dropped too much. And the reason why your HP isn't really going to be dropping at all is because you have the Gorilla, and the Gorilla will give you a massive amount of survivability. Every single time we attack, because we attack so dang fast, it's going to be able to give us a barrier. But the last 2 skills, counterattack, you don't really need to push it, but it does give you a dodge. What you really want it for specifically is you want it for a bonus of like 15% chance to dodge. I know it says 10, but it'll go there, and I'll kind of explain how that works. In fact, we can kind of explain it real quick. If I just attack with my abilities, if I hold shift and just attack, it'll actually rank it up. We just need it to be rank 5, and that will give us 15% chance to just not take damage. Oh, we actually got a glyph that I was needing, so that's good. But let's go ahead and level up some stuff. We actually could go for Revenge. We can also go for Fulminate. It's kind of up to you what you want to go for. But we'll level up this one since I was already kind of leveling it up. But let's go ahead and go over like the earlier progression of, like, let's say you just completed the campaign, maybe you got Kipilike. Your whole goal is to really get Kipilike, and it is a weapon. So you can actually Agamba for it, It's actually quite easy with opals to get a lot of the uniques now, and I would highly recommend just prioritize getting this. It's going to make everything much faster. So in terms of important things for this build, so the first thing you want to do is on the Codex of Power is get the quill one over here. It actually, can I mark the dungeon? I actually know where it's at, so it's over here. So it's in one of these dungeons. Oh, does it not show it if you already like gotten it? Okay, it's one of these dungeons earlier on. It's right here. So you do that, and it's going to give you the ability to make it so quill volleys, when they shoot, they're going to be coming back. That's one of the most important aspects. The rest is just kind of damage here. So for starters, the helm, I was telling you guys that there is a better helm. I have a bad rolled one. It's called the Harmony of Abagua. So it rolls up to 30x per spirit type that you have, and it's going to convert your spirits from whatever they are on the secondary to additionally that type. So our Spirit Hall bonuses are going to be Gorilla and Jaguar. So right now, our skill that is our damage dealer is going to be Eagle and Gorilla. Now, if I equip this, because my secondary is Jaguar, it will also count it as Jaguar. I might actually have to... It will only count when you're outside of town, but it will count as Jaguar too, because it counts your secondary one. And per each different type that it tags, it basically gives you 30x at maximum stats. So this gives you 90x damage, which is great. Plus the stats are really good. It gives you all stats, movement speed, damage reduction. Those are all really amazing stats. Right now I am using the Air Perdition. It just happened to drop. I literally am just using it for the movement speed. It technically gives you less damage if you have a good rolled one. It also rolls with core skills, which is okay, but it's not anything that is absolutely required. There's a chest armor, which I do not have, called the Janthith Shell, which is also really good. If you don't happen to have Kipilike, that is your other alternative to basically having infinite resources and really, really good cooldown. Now, you also have to combo it with Starlight, but that aspect that we have on the chest piece is Juggernauts, just so we can get extra armor. And then we're also just running rapid. I want to attack super, super fast over here. And then if you do get ranks to core skills or ranks to the skill that we use as our main source of damage, Quill Volley, that's what you want. In the pants, I'm running Tacits of the Dawning Sky, but if you do get some pants that run with plus to basic, that is going to give you a plus bonus on Quill Volley, because Quill Volley actually counts as a basic with the Rada Kipilike. Then ideally we would get this to be a lot higher rolled. It's only 2 out of 5, but just some boots over here, nothing too special. This is the main thing that gets everything online. So what does it give us? Our core skills are now basic skills and are free to cast. So to answer the question, this is how we have infinite resources. And then on top of that, when we have maximum Vigor, which is basically our mana for the Spiritborn, it's going to consume all of it, and then it's going to basically deal a bonus amount of damage based on that. We actually have a really garbage one, but it doesn't really matter too much. The whole goal is basically to have infinite resources. And if you're wondering what runes we run Moni Gar, so it just gives us crit. The one that I actually really liked for leveling was Neotech. This thing is absolutely amazing. Basically, the Barbarian Earthquake one is super OP. And then we're running Rebounding, which is the Quill Volleys coming back. Really great stuff as well. This just has attack speed. I was running an amulet for a long time with movement speed, just to move faster. It's really great. And then I'm running Conceited because we're going to always have a huge amount of barriers. So as long as we just have any amount of barriers, just multiplier there. Ideally, you can get like crit, life, dex. Those are all good stats. And then over here, you can see we have Eagle on this one, and then we have Eagle on this one for damage. You can actually get Gorilla or Eagle damage because it tags the skills. But I'm running Moonrise, and ideally, I would also run some sort of adaptability. If I had extra room here, maybe instead of Rapid, I can run it. Doesn't really matter. If I could swap one thing, it'd probably be Conceited for, I don't have it right now, but it's called Moonrise. This one over here is really great, and then there's also adaptability, and this one you have to put in your ring. I don't have it, but it makes it so when you are casting at above 50% maximum resource, you get to deal up to 100x damage for basic skills, and well, this converts it to a basic skill because of the Rada Kipilike. So it all kind of revolves around one of the best uniques in the entire game, because it gives you infinite resources and all these huge bonus multipliers. Another thing I wanted to mention that I don't know if it's fully tested out yet, but it could be pretty good, is the Pain Gorger Gauntlets. And the Pain Gorger Gauntlets gives you up to 200x to basic skills, plus it gives you bonus to like the ranks of the basic skill. And how it works with the Spiritborn is Ravager how it works is when you activate it, it's going to teleport you towards the target. That's how we get the infinite teleports. It's just 100% uptime on this, and we'll explain cooldown in a second. But this over here is fantastic, and this actually deals damage, and it will count towards your non-basic skill damage with Pain Gorger. Now, if it actually works the way I want it to work, if it does work, it's going to be amazing with it. But yeah, this could be a really cool thing to consider if you have Pain Gorger. Now, as far as the build goes, like I said, I literally have one glyph, but as far as the skill tree goes, the only thing that really matters here, in the very beginning, it doesn't matter. While you're leveling, I do have a leveling one. If you are leveling, you can take the third one of these and you just use it to kind of refill your resources. This is also a pretty decent one to get. If you want to go Thorns, this is not bad as well. Basically just maxing out all of these here. Another thing that I do want to put some points into, which I should actually do over here, because I really don't need Velocity over here, because this is for resource gen. So I had actually just recently got Kipuleke. But what you want to try to do is get this bonus to basic skills. So it's another 6x damage, because we don't really need resource for it. But in the very beginning, we're going to be maxing out Quill Volley. We want the one that it does do the additional feathers here. There's also another one where it can converge or whatever. But basically, I like the one where it gets 3 additional feathers. And then we get all of the bonuses on some damage over this one. Also, it's going to increase all of your Vigor generation. You're going to want this later for generation. You don't really need this one. But if you have a bunch of resource generation, you can fill it up and then get that massive crit multi consistently. And then we have Soar over here. It's just used for extra mobility. There's a little bonus here because it's extra mobility, but pretty much doesn't matter. Massive amount of damage and damage reduction over here. I just had another point. You can max this out if you want to. In fact, we can put 2 more points over there, as I literally had just swapped to this. Again, keep it leaky. But this was not bad for leveling to put in multiple points into Ravager. As long as you can get Janthus Shell or keep this up, this thing is just so good for teleporting. It just makes the whole game faster. This is what you want. While Ravager's active or core skills instantly dash towards the target and also gives you Vigor generation. So we already have, with this and this, 45x Vigor generation. So when we get our specific items, one of them is called Midnight. Let me actually go over this. This is actually kind of important for the build. I don't have everything perfect yet, but ideally what we would want is this item over here called the Midnight over here, where when you critically strike, you gain 50% of the Vigor you spent in the last 2 seconds. So pretty much that means as long as you're hitting with the crit, you can constantly just refill all of your resource, spend it all, and you're going to get infinite crit. So basically it gives you 100% crit in the build, as long as you happen to have enough resources. Now, can you still get crit in the build? Sure. But you don't really need crit chance, you only need crit damage, because when you're at max resource, it's going to spend it all, and then you're going to build it up and spend it all, and you just have 100% crit, with getting 0 crit in the actual build, which is what makes this build incredibly good. But yeah, anyways, that's why you could drop this one if you want to, because you do gain crit with this one. But right now, I don't have the amount of resources to have 100% crit. And then we get some damage reduction. We want specifically 3 points into this and 3 points into this. My chest piece has plus ranks to counterattack, but you want 3 points into it. 4 does nothing. But the reason why we want a couple points into it is because at 5 we get 15% dodge, and the way that it works is we only want these to be 3 because it'll go to 5 with this, which I'll explain once we get to it. But we got Dominant over here, some extra HP, some more damage over here. If we do convert to Jaguar with the helm, we do want to take both of these. I just don't happen to have the helmet right now because I'm running the Air of Perdition. Then, since we can consistently spam our ultimate, I do put 5 points in this just for extra cooldown reduction on it, but you could keep it up pretty much most of the time even without it. But what we do run is we run Supremacy, which is going to give us, while you kill enemies while an ultimate is active, you're going to get a multiplier here. We get extra resources, which we'll tag once we get all of that crit with our actual like Rada Kipuleke. Again, that's like kind of the core thing. Then we have Resolution, so when we cast an ultimate skill, it's going to give us 15x damage to elites, so it's kind of nice. And then it's doubled if you're only fighting one enemy. So when we cast our ultimate on an enemy, I mean, it's 30x over there, and then on top of the 30x, we get up to another 30x over here with Supremacy, which is pretty dang cool. And then this thing is pretty important. It's called Prodigy's Tempo. For every 3rd consecutive cast of the basic skill, and obviously, again, it's converted to basic skill, all purchase skills ranks are going to go up by 2. Remember how I was saying to get 3? So that will go go to 5. And then every third consecutive cast of the same core or potency skill, because remember, now it's a core and a basic, we get to reduce the cooldown of all active cooldowns by 10%, and it's increased by 2% for each of those skill ranks. So ideally, if you get like Ringer of Starless Skies or something, you get this to about 20, and then it gets crazy because it's 2% for each of those skill ranks. So that would mean that you get 30% cooldown reduction on all your skills on every third consecutive cast, which basically means 10% per attack, which is pretty busted. And then you have pretty much any skill that you want up at 100% of the time. That's how the build works, and it's pretty dang good. And the skills that you do want to kind of spam if you need the resolve, it's pretty nice to have this because it's active, it makes it so you become unstoppable, and then you have 100% block chance. So this will give you 100% chance to block all of the damage. Now, if you want to, you can put some points into extra damage reduction, but I mean, I face rolled the whole content anyways. But as far as the Paragon boards goes, we're going to probably do some more adjustments on this, but in the very earlier stages, I just had Colossal. That's the one I happened to get. It's, again, I have literally one glyph. That's it. Then we get Sapping over here. This one's good. So we get Sapping, and then we get Vicious Shield. That one's quite great. And then we also grab Revealing. And so how we get the shield with this character is actually through a couple different ways. If you get Temerity, that's another option. But we actually get it with this over here. So casting a Gorilla skill gives us 100% of Thorns damage to enemies. We don't actually need to get Thorns damage with this. I was actually running Razor Plate for a little bit of time. It was actually quite great to get the extra damage over there. So it was really good up until like T1. I was still doing incredible damage. Still basically deletes most of the content. Now this only gives you up to 30%. There's also a lot of different barrier generation, but this only goes up to 30%. Now how we can get additional barrier generation, this gives us, it's actually down one more. This one over here will give us another 30%, so that's 60%. If you want to, you can also run Bulwark. There's other sources of different barrier. Let me see if I can tag some of the barrier stuff. There's a couple other different sources of like extra damage when you have barrier, damage reduction while you have barrier. So getting barriers is still going to give you more damage and survivability. Again, think about Temerity. That was something that I did play with Janthus Shell. That was a really good combo as well, which I mentioned. And I'll link two of the different like variant of the builds. But I just want to update you guys with like kind of a live gameplay and a quick little slam build guide. Because it's just a very frequently asked question. How do you have infinite resources? And it's just this. And again, you do not need any mythics for this build. This is just used for movement speed. Remember, this gives you 60x. And the other one gives you 30 times 3, which is 90. Which is technically better. Plus it gives you damage reduction and all stats. Again, the reason why I'm running it, and I just want to stress this, is just because the movement speed is really good. The crit strike chance, it's okay right now, but eventually the Harmony of Abakwa is way better because you're going to have 100% crit. This bonus crit doesn't matter. Lucky hit really doesn't matter too much for the build. There is one thing that you will get over here, which is lucky hit chance to knock down enemies, but you can get a lot of chance to do crowd control. You can roll that on a little piece of gear. Anyways, that's a quick little update for you guys. Again, link will be down in the pin for like the full build guide. I just want to make this like quick little rough draft one for you guys.